Welcome to the Drama Coach podcast. I'm Lisa, actor and coach, and I help young performers and the people that are supporting them build confidence, skill, and a real understanding of the industry. In this episode, I delve into getting an agent in the UK and whether you need one yet. This is probably the most common question I get. I get it from students and I get it from parents a lot. The quick reassurance here is there isn't one single route. Just like there's no single route into acting, there is no single route into how you should get an agent. And as I said, this is aiming for in the UK. It differs for America and Europe. Hopefully, this will still be relevant and useful if you are listening to it from elsewhere. There's also no rush to get your agent if you are a young performer or the parent of a young performer. It's right at different stages for different individuals because of 1,000,001 different reasons. And hopefully this podcast will aim to answer some of those questions and give you some clarity and help you come to your own conclusions of which agencies you should reach out to and when, and whether it's right for your child right now. So what does an agent actually do? They submit you for roles, or your child. They handle communication and they negotiate contracts. They don't and can't guarantee work. Just as I can't guarantee by listening to this podcast you will get an agent, they can't guarantee that you will get work. Obviously, it's in their best interest to get you work, and they are going to take you on if they think they can get you, or of course, your child work in the industry. So why having an agent can be helpful? They have access to the opportunities. These are often spotlight breakdowns, and different agents have different levels of access. Just as an actor who is unrepresented, although children can't do this, they have to be represented to be on Spotlight. Actors who aren't represented also get a different tier, I suppose, of jobs. People who are casting directors who are putting their jobs on Spotlight can select who they want the jobs to be seen by. So why else is having an agent helpful? They can help navigate you through the industry. They can offer you professional support. This could be updating you on where you and your child are and how you're doing. It could be networking events perhaps, or suggesting where you can find other work. I never think, even if when you get an agent, you should rely on your agent solely for work. You should be actively looking for your own work and your own connections. And maybe if you're old enough as well, creating your own work, but that's for another episode. So they should also be advising you when you need your new headshots and what they should be like, perhaps the types of roles you'd be suited to, and early tips. I know my daughter's agent was very helpful on some early practical tips. They would just throw some little things in there like, this is how you can add an extra pop of light, or perhaps you can use teddy bears to show the eye lines for the other characters on a self-tape, etc. So they've got these technical tips that will be useful and personal to you and your child. They can also support you with getting your tapes in. They'll give you a deadline. I know my agent will make sure that her deadline is before the actual tape deadline, so that if she spots something in my tape that I should tweak or change, there's often time to do that. Or if, heaven forbid, as I have done before, it's very easy when you have a huge breakdown to miss something in the instructions, or you think you've done it but you haven't done it. If you've missed something from the instruction, you can then tell them and they can let you slip that bit of extra info in there, or email the casting directors. So it is really, really helpful to have an agent, but it's not the be all and the end all if you don't have one yet. Your agent, of course, opens these doors for you, but the classic phrase is that you, or your child in this case, have to walk through those doors. So as I was saying, don't solely rely on your agent for all of your opportunities. You can create and find your own. There are lots of Facebook groups, there are casting directors you can follow on Instagram and other social medias. Do be careful and always do your due diligence and check them out. But there are opportunities that pop up out there. There are some really helpful Facebook groups. I think there's a child actor and modelling agency Facebook group and other parents will share other opportunities on there. So yeah, hopefully you can build yourself a whole community of other people in a similar boat as yours and create those connections. So why might an agent not be right for you or right for your child at this stage? You could be at the very early stages. Perhaps your child is still building confidence or their skills. I mean, we're always building our skills, in my opinion. I don't think you ever stop learning or building your skills. But perhaps they're not enjoying this consistently. If one week they're well up for a self-tape and the other week not, and it's sort of consistently inconsistent, if that makes sense, then perhaps it's not the right time for them. If they absolutely love this 99% of the time, then great, go for it. But if it sort of waxes and wanes and you're going to be creating pressure by having an agent, because it wouldn't be good form to be saying no to the opportunities that your agent was giving you. So as long as you feel your child would be most of the time up for these opportunities, then I think you can go ahead and pursue it. But if it seems very wobbly, I would say hold off at this point. There's no point rushing it. There will be agencies out there for you when the time is right. I think it's also really important to say that, of course, the training comes first, but the enjoyment should come first before you're sort of pushing this as a career. If they enjoy it, then push forward. But if they're not enjoying it, I would argue, why are they doing it? Why are you doing it if there isn't that huge level of enjoyment there? So the things you need before you start approaching agents. You're going to need headshots. And by that, I don't mean right now you have to go and spend a fortune on headshots. They are expensive. There's a whole industry there of headshot photographers, and there are some fantastic ones out there. I would start following some again on Instagram. There's some beautiful work, and you can get an idea for the type of shots that you think will work. Look at other actors' headshots and what they have out there and what you like and you think you'd like for your child. It's early, isn't it, to say sort of what kind of types they might be playing, and hopefully they can have quite a diverse career and play lots of different types. So at this stage, I wouldn't rush out I do think there's a place for professional headshots and they are very important, but I wouldn't rush out and get them now. After all, you need to change them every 6 months to a year, especially for the younger children. They're changing so quickly, and your headshots must be an up-to-date snapshot of what your child looks like right now. If they turn up for an audition, whether that's for an agency or a role, and they don't look like their headshot, that's jarring from a start. People are going to be picking them from their headshots because perhaps they've got a gap in their clients, and if the child doesn't look like the headshots, then it's a little bit of a waste of everybody's time. So they need to be kept up to date, which is why I would say at the moment, create something at home. And your best way to do this, I've talked about this a little bit in my self-tape podcast. You want a clear, clean, neutral background for this. You don't want any clutter, anything in the way, and you want good lighting, and that can just be the natural light you have at home. Again, there's beautiful work that headshot photographers do with natural light and with studio light. And I think the easiest thing for you to start with, I suppose it's a little bit like getting those passport photos done if you've done those for yourselves. But of course they can smile this time and be themselves. But you want that neutral background. You want good lighting. Don't be giving them accessories, hats, glasses, etc. That can come in some other character fun work. You want to be able to see them clearly, their head, their shoulders. That's all you want, no more than that for a headshot. You don't want to edit these particularly, or certainly not over edit them or make them overly stylized. They need to be plain and simple and real. Next, to go along with these headshots, you'll need what's called a show reel. And again, if this is you applying for your first agency, I wouldn't rush out to get a professional show reel made. There are some fantastic people and places that will create show reels for you, and this is brilliant. But I would save that for when your child has a bigger repertoire or more confidence. Perhaps you can have your agency's guidance as well into what they should be including in their show reel. So for now, personally, I'd pick a monologue. That's a short piece with one person speaking. I've got a whole course on a monologue if you want to check that out. That's for another time. I'll do another podcast on a monologue. So you want that small one person piece of them talking just off of camera, not straight down the lens, and something that perhaps they resonate with or they connect with or they enjoy. It can be funny, it can be tragic, something that your child enjoys performing, and it only has to be, I'd probably say about 30 seconds long at this stage. And if you want to go all out, my child and I did this for her first at-home show reel. She had a couple of monologues that she knew already for a festival, for a performance. She took a couple of those and we made a couple of at-home scenes as well. I think she had one with her cat. And we chose things that were diverse, I think. One piece had an accent. I'm not sure I would necessarily lean towards having an accent at this stage. I would go with their natural accent. But however, she'd rehearsed this piece and it was appropriate to the piece that she had the accent. And the rest were in her own accent. One was sad, one was really jolly, and one was a bit more like a self-tape where it had a reader off. It was only short and I was her reader and had a reader off camera. And so we popped these together, edited them. I think we used CapCut at this stage. You can use wherever you want, the most phones have an editing tool. You can pop these together and have a short at-home show reel or showcase of what they can do. Again, I keep it short. I think ours was definitely under 2 minutes. And we used this to gain her first agent. So if you feel comfortable cutting together little pieces and your child wants to show something diverse, by all means, create your at-home show reel. But if you don't, a monologue is more than fine. And I would actually argue sometimes better, because perhaps within that 30-second, 1 minute monologue, their character can have a change of thought or a little bit of up and down. They can show off what they can do sometimes better within one single piece than lots of little pieces. So I would choose what feels right and fun for you. If your child thinks it's going to be fun and you think it's going to be fun to go around your home creating this, then brilliant, go for it. But if you think that is going to be a drain and a stress, the child's going to feel that, and you want to stick to a monologue, stick to your monologue. So I mentioned keeping the lighting simple and plain and the background simple and plain for your headshots. Same goes for your show reel. Keep it as plain as you can, really. I think, like I said, we went around the house doing some other little pieces. So not all of our backgrounds were neutral, but they weren't too cluttered or too busy, which I think helped. So and microphone, of course. The phone microphone is pretty decent, especially if you're in a nice soft room, like a lounge that's got furnishings. However, I think I've mentioned this before, when we're recording in our kitchen, it's a little bit more echoey, and it certainly helps to have the plug-in lapel mic that just attaches to your child's top, and then they can be heard much more clearly. So if you've got the mic, certainly use it on creating your monologue or creating your at-home show reel. So that's what you need secondly. So you've got your headshots, you've got your show reel or your monologue video. Then you may need, I haven't had to send this off, I think, ever since. I think when we did get a couple of original agents, we used a little actor's CV. You can use a template that you can get online or on your computer, and you can create a little actor's CV. I don't think this is essential. Sometimes I think you drop this in to your email. Some agencies will ask for a CV, so it really doesn't harm to have it ready, and then you can fire it off when you need it. So things like hobbies, relevant achievements, if they've got a particular grade in dance, martial arts, etc. Perhaps they've won drama competitions, poetry competitions, that sort of thing. You can put those in. Any regular training they're having, if they attend musical theatre every weekend, put that in, put where they attend, how long they've attended for. Perhaps they've changed and perhaps they attended one for this many years and then another one. Pop all of that in. That's all your actors' CV. Pop that in there. Maybe you want a little line about their personality. Are they cheeky? Are they kind and a good friend? Do they love school? I don't know. Pop something in about your child's personality as well in that CV, I would say. So yeah, it's got training, skills, any hobbies they enjoy, and of course, any experience they've already had. Perhaps they've been in school shows. Perhaps they've been in student films already, or on stage with their various drama groups. There's so much you could pop in there that does count as experience already, even though they're young. So when you've got those three things, the headshot, the show reel, and the CV, where do you find your agents? So this occurred to me because I've always said it was very easy for me to find my child's agent because I was already on Spotlight as an actor, so I could go through the directory. And there are thousands of agents listed there, and you know they're going to be safe because they have been listed and accredited by Spotlight. However, I thought those who weren't actors were perhaps at a disadvantage here. You're not. You can access, I checked just now actually, you can access the Spotlight register of all of these agencies. It's there, it's online. Let me have a look at the link. spotlight.com/contacts/listing. And then you can search for the agencies. There's currently about 1,400 on there. You can view their details. You can go to their website. Are their books open? In which case, drop them an email if you think they are relevant for you. And I'll talk a little bit more about this now. Do they represent your child's age range? If they are adults only, then it's a waste of an email contacting them. Do they already have many like your child? I think it's harder for children to check, or for the adults to check for their children, because sometimes they're not listed online, whereas a lot of the adult agencies, you can go and see those actors, and if they look like you, if they've got lots of actors like you on the books, it's almost pointless that you apply unless you have a particular skill set or you're based in a different area. I'll come on to areas in a minute. It's a bit pointless approaching an agency if they have clients that are already like you, because then you're fighting against them, and that seems a bit pointless. So have a look online at the agency. Do you like them? Do you resonate with their ethos? Perhaps, here we go, we'll think about location. I liked the idea that an agency we applied for was closer to home rather than based really far away. This doesn't necessarily matter this day and age, but in my view, I thought they would have more connections closer to us, so therefore easier to travel, than they would have further away. And of course, you want to travel for these exciting commercials and things, of course you do. But when it came to perhaps the smaller jobs or, making local connections, I thought it'd be a really good idea. So you might want to think about location. Is London feasible for you to be going into London for agency meetings? If not, does that agency happily have people further afield and perhaps meet over Zoom or however they choose to do their online meetings? So when you've decided which of these agencies you want to approach, and by the way, a really fun exercise that you can do with your child is think about the actors that you both admire and go and see who they're represented by. I am not promising you would go and get repped by one of these top agencies straight away, but there's absolutely no harm, is there, in looking into it and applying to them if you think it's relevant. So when you've done that, all your Spotlight listing searching, and you've gone and you've researched into these agencies, I would say don't just fire off blanket emails to all of them, because plenty of them won't be appropriate to you and your child, and you're wasting your own time and you're wasting their time. They are busy people, and I think a targeted email or application is going to be far more worthwhile for you both than just chucking out a general email to all the agencies you can on the list. And you're going to be there a long time with 1,400 agencies. So once you've done your research and you are happy that this agency is worth you applying to, by the way, I think I've said if their books are open, even better. And on some of those Facebook groups, and if you're following agencies online, they often advertise when their books are open. So then is the time, of course, to email them. But it doesn't stop you emailing them when their books aren't open if you think you're a good fit. So keep these emails short and clear. Some agencies will say on their website that actually they'd like you to apply in a slightly different way. Perhaps they've got an online form where you submit these various things. Perhaps they've got a different email address. There might be one email address for people wanting their clients to work for them, and another email address if you're seeking representation. So make sure you've got the right email address. So tell them who you are, or your child is, of course, if you're applying for them. Tell them how old the child is, your location, and just a few key details. Something perhaps about their personality or their training that you want to drop in there. Then a link. If they're already on Spotlight, I'm guessing they've already got an agency and perhaps you're looking for a different one if they're already on Spotlight, then this is the perfect place to put your Spotlight in. But seeing as there's that catch-22 of you can't get on Spotlight as a child without an agency, and it's kind of hard as an adult to get an agent if you haven't got Spotlight, in my opinion. The best thing to do here is to include a link. Now, whether this is a YouTube unlisted or a Google link, however you like to send your links, have a link to the child's headshot and the child's show reel or monologue video. This is, I think it's polite because it probably stops the email box from getting all chugged up with huge photos or video files. Also, I suppose you might, with some of these, be able to see if they've been watched or not, which might be interesting. And I think it just makes the email look cleaner. Some agencies ask for the headshot to be included. They want to see the headshot without clicking a link. So in which case, read the instructions and do what the agency likes, because you are going to be in a better position, surely more likely to be chosen if you are applying in the way they prefer. So if they prefer the photo to be attached, attach the photo. If they prefer a link, use a link. So you've got all those things in your email: who your child is, how old they are, where they are, a couple of key details, and the links or the headshot. I would keep the tone short and cheerful. They're busy people. Clarity helps. Keep it really clear. Don't waffle on. I'm sure we've all got loads we can say about our children. We love talking about our children, don't we? But you don't want to waffle on here. And you don't want to pile on the pressure or the selling. Your child will be right or not right for the agency at this time. There's a whole bunch of factors in there. You don't need to be pressuring or selling. That's not going to help anyone. So, a note on rejection. It's very possible that you'll get a whole heap of rejections, or even more likely, no response at all. This is normal. I don't want you to be stressing out, jumping at every email or waiting, or I was going to say keeping a list of who's responded. It's actually a good idea. I love I don't love spreadsheets, but I do love keeping a spreadsheet of people I've worked with, people I've contacted and their response. Have I contacted them again? Have I got another reason to contact them? This might be casting directors, this might be agencies, student filmmakers, directors, etc. I do like keeping a record because you'll come across so many names, and I wouldn't want to get them jumbled up and think I'd worked with someone on something when it was something else. I think these connections are important, so I do like to keep a spreadsheet. But don't be, once you've fired these emails off, just like you would, like I'd advise you for an audition, pretty much put them out of your head. If you want to pop them in your spreadsheet, great. Put them out of your head, and if you get no response, you get no response. It's more than likely you will get no response. Actually, then I think when you get a polite no, that's almost a credit to you of, oh, hurrah, they got my email. It's a polite no at this stage. You may even get a little feedback. Perhaps it is they already have somebody like your child on their books. Perhaps it is they're not ready yet, need more training in X, Y, and Z. If you get feedback, fantastic, run with it. That's gold. Of course, if you and your child agree. If they say to you, we're looking for somebody trained in something specific right now, and that is not attractive to your child, that's something that they really don't want to do, then don't do it. This is supposed to be fun and enjoyable and wonderful. Art is subjective, right? So if one person says to you, they need to, I don't know, cut their hair, they probably won't, but, if they don't want to, don't do it. That would be my overriding advice for everything and anything. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. If it doesn't feel right for them and it doesn't feel right, doesn't sit right with you, then don't do it. Okay, so that's the rejection. For whatever reason, the fact the agencies are busy, the time that your email landed, the gap in the books or not, the current clients, so many factors there. and things that they may or may not be looking for. So please don't take any rejection or any no response as personal. It just is the way it is, unfortunately. And that goes for auditions as well. So I wanted to mention that, as I said at the beginning, this is from my experience and from my experience of working in and guiding young people through the industry in the UK. In the US, I believe it's Actors Access rather than Spotlight. I also see Backstage used quite a lot in the US, and that is used here in the UK too, for casting opportunities rather than Spotlight. And in the US, they tend to have both agents and managers, so that's different again. Agencies will be listed. In Europe, this also varies country by country, but always do your due diligence. You want to check that these are reputable agencies. Check them out before you apply to them. And again, if there are any red flags, don't continue. And warn other parents too. Again, some of those Facebook groups can be really, really useful. I've seen many parents sharing red flags. If an agency is asking you to pay a lot of money to join them, that's a red flag. Or if they are putting that huge sum under the guise of a photo shoot, oh, well, is this £1,000 photo shoot? And then you can be on the books. No, don't be touching that. That's more than likely going to be a scam. Some agencies take no upfront payment at all. They have you or your child on their books, and they earn a fee from the jobs that your child gets. Typically 10 to 15, maybe up to 20% fees at the time that I've recorded this. Some agencies charge an admin fee. This could be to sign up or could be a yearly admin fee, but it's usually around £50 to £100. I haven't seen any admin fees that are higher than £100 a year. And I think if they are, then it really needs looking into, and get them to, if you're really thinking about this agency and it feels right for you, but the admin fee seems high, then just check it out. Do your due diligence and check that you're not being scammed or forced into something that you don't want. Always read those contracts carefully, of course. The child isn't going to be allowed to sign the contract if they're under 18. That will have to be signed by you. And I would argue if you're over 18 and you're signing your own contract, get someone to check it. I always get someone to check my contracts. We can get overexcited, can't we, and miss things. So yeah, check those contracts. And if you're unsure, reach out to them. I had something I was unsure with my first agent. I asked them about it. They clarified. I was happy. I signed it. Again, this is a mutual working relationship. You want to be open and honest and clear. And if you've got those things sorted, then you're going to have a really good working relationship. So to summarize, you don't need to go rushing into getting an agent for your child. But if you feel like it's the right time and they feel like it's the right time, do your research. Use that wonderful Spotlight listing of all those thousands of reputable agencies. Research them, apply to them with your headshot showreel and your acting CV if that's relevant. The right time is when you and your child are ready, not when you're feeling pressure because somebody else got an agent recently. I really hope that podcast has been helpful to you and helpful to your early acting journey or the early acting journey for your child. I would love to hear your agent stories. Perhaps you've recently been signed and you want to celebrate it. Perhaps you've found your top 10 agencies that you are going to apply for. Perhaps you've heard of particular agencies and you want to know a little bit more about them. I would love you to drop me an email, lisa@thedramacoach.co.uk, and tell me about your agent stories. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. If this episode resonated, do share it with someone who might need it. And don't forget to follow for more. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and other socials at The Drama Coach, and on YouTube for longer videos and training. See you in the next episode.